we have coming up here shortly two conversations that are especially timely here in Michigan. I think every panel we've had thus far has talked about the need to fix our roads. And that is top of mind not only for businesses, but for every single Michigander. As we are exiting, hopefully, pothole season, we are still focused on fixing the roads. We have two competing plans right now that are on the table. The House Republicans passed a plan out of their chamber. The governor has presented a plan, and the Senate is doing great work on this as well. So I want to welcome back to the stage our next panel. I guess not back to the stage, this is their first time, but I want to welcome Russ McNamara, Senior News Editor at Detroit Public Radio, Senator Veronica Kleinfelt from Macomb County, Chair of the Appropriations Subcommittee on Transportation, and State Representative Tom Kunse, who I'm going to give you the early vote for best jacket of on the island. So Russ, take it away.
So the completely non-controversial subject of road funding. Let's start with you, Senator Kleinfelt. What is the Senate's position? And because the House Republicans are coming in with a head of steam at this point, Senate's had a couple of cracks at this over the last couple of years when it was a completely democratically controlled legislature. What is the plan right now?
So there's a couple of things. The first is there's that big, beautiful bill sitting out there that's going to have cuts in other parts of the budget. And senators would like to know how significant that is when we're talking about putting together a road plan that could possibly cause more cuts to the budget, and where are those cuts going to be, and how heavy is that going to be? So that's one of the big issues. Another one is the actual road funding formula. For years, we've been in the urban areas have been donating to rural areas to build their roads, which we need to do. That's an important aspect of this, but not at the expense of the urban roads when the urban roads are in worse conditions. So there's got to be some parity on the condition of roads and how the formula takes place. And so those are some of the things that we're looking at.
Now, the House Republican plan, what are we looking at? Is there an over-reliance on federal money when it comes to Michigan roads?
No, ours is tax neutral and it's all state. We could pass the House plan today and not have an effect on the budget, right? The question is not where is the $3 billion going to come from. The question is where is the $25 billion that the state budget has increased, where has that gone? So when we took over, when the Democrats took over 2 years ago with a $9 billion surplus, where was the road plan? So the question is not, can we come up with $3 billion? Yes, we've detailed how to do it. We've laid our plan out. This is not relying on federal money. We can do this today. Number two, we talked about PA 51. I agree with the Macomb County executor, Mark Hackle, who said, let's fund it first and then look at it. The most recent data I have is from September of 24. Macomb gets $11,500 per primary mile. Mackinac County, which we're in right now, beautiful Mackinac County, gets $950 a mile. So when we talk about parity, I think the northern counties would love parity. But we're talking about 12 to 13 times the account. Macomb gets 12 to 13 times right now.
So you're saying that it's tax neutral, but there's got to be some kind of offsetting cuts somewhere.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So
where do those come from?
It's a reallocation. So I am not going to speak for my colleague in the Senate. I know that the governor. No, that's not. I'm not going to. I know that the governor supports the sales tax swap. Right now, when you go to the pump, you pay sales tax that goes to the general fund and it goes off into the black hole. What we're going to say is, let's put everything you pay at the pump to roads. We're going to backfill that hole with the existing corporate income tax. That's about $1 billion. It depends on the price of fuel. It goes up and down. The other things we're going to look at is, mega credits. There are things that are going on that we could cut. And I think if we go to the voters, if we go to the citizens of Michigan and say, would you rather give these 6 or 7 or 8 very well-connected companies a subsidy, or would you rather have better roads? Well, I know the answer to that.
What is your answer to that?
Well, there's a couple of things. let's real quick talk about parity. I'm talking about the condition of roads.
Okay.
Right? And yes, Mackinac Island may not get the same amount of money per road. How many semis do you see driving around Mackinac Island as opposed to the Detroit area where there's semis going down almost every street? That matters. So the parity has to be in the condition of roads, not the dollar amount per mile of road. Also, when you speak to that, what do you mean by per mile? When a mile up here is probably 1 lane each direction and a mile down there is 3 or 4 lanes each direction, that's not parity. That's not counting mile per mile of actual road. So a couple of things. There's got to be a compromise. When every time you backfill something, you're taking from somewhere else. Let's be honest about that. There are going to have to be cuts to accomplish what they want to accomplish. I'm not opposed to discussing cuts, but there's got to be a compromise between the two sides of the building and the two parties. I think there should be cuts and there also should be revenue. And while we're at it, we're talking about a fix, but I believe the permanent fix down the road that we need to migrate to is road usage charge. Everybody's afraid to talk about it, but if you finally get to that down the road, and I think this will be a bridge to that, then you're actually charging the individuals that are using the roads. And you know exactly how much to charge them for it to be sustainable, and then you never have to go looking for pots of money again. So those are the types of things that I'm interested in.
Tom, are Republicans open to a usage?
I'd love to
usage
see a
fees?
plan. I'd love to see a plan to compare it to. I'd love to see that plan, and we haven't seen that yet. Road usage is really interesting. I love the idea of an odometer check. I think that'd be an interesting one to compare it to. I'm not convinced on the GPS yet. So, excuse me. My daughter goes to school in Fort Wayne. I don't want to pay for the Indiana miles. I don't know how to get to road usage without doing a GPS. And I'm not going to go back to my district and say, put this GPS in your car so the state can track your miles. I can't get there. I love the odometer. I think we can talk about it. And I think you're right, we're going to get there. And I say that knowing that I have a cell phone, satellite radio, and OnStar. I have 3 GPSs in my car now. So.
Where are the biggest complaints when it comes to roads? Is it in more urban areas or is it outstate? Because I know down where I live, 696 is being tore up. I-75 has been tore up quite a bit. Mound Road in Macomb County has been tore up. But I'm from the UP, and I just traveled an awful lot in Luce and Mackinac counties. The county roads there are in very poor condition.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because the bonding had to go to MDOT roads. When the governor bonded money, and I support we have to fix the roads, I'm not doing that, but it can only go to the MDOT roads. So that's why 696, that's why 75. Local roads have not gotten their funding, and that's what we're trying to do.
In Mound Road, there was a significant federal investment specifically for that corridor, but he's right. Most of what we're talking about is state roads. Where we agree is local roads is where any new funding needs to go.
Right.
It needs to go heavy to local roads in both areas. I think we're in staunch agreement on that, and I also think, from my perspective, I'm not opposed to the gas tax swap. It's just working out the details.
Right.
And every time we backfill something, taking a look at what we're taking away from when we backfill. So that's important. Right. And then remember, as we're going along in this, you have to get the votes from both sides, right? And so we have to navigate people that may want to try to throw other things into it. The one thing that does have to be part of this conversation is transit. I think there's no question about it. That has to be part of the conversation. And whether or not the new revenue actually runs through Act 51 or it runs through an entirely different formula. We do have a lot of common ground, and I do think that there is movement and there are a lot of conversations taking place. It doesn't mean that we're talking together at this moment, but there is movement taking place.
Right. We're in the same church, we're in different pews.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of commonality here. I'm optimistic.
So, but I mean, it seems like finding that revenue stream is a bit of a conflict still at this point. Do you, I mean, like how much you've got the offset? I mean, are we talking raising taxes on the Democratic side?
We're looking at several different options, but when you say raising taxes, specifically, what are you speaking to as well? I mean, there are a lot of different options that we could look at. Where we finally end up is going to be somewhere that they can agree on and we can agree on. I think from our side, we'd like to see some new revenue. They've given us a plan, but they haven't told us the cuts part of the plan. And so from my side of the aisle, they want to know where those cuts are going to take place before they put their stamp of approval on something, right? So everybody's kind of cautious, especially given what the federal government is doing and how deep is the state going to be cut in several different departments. That all ties into this, and our budget also ties into this. They're not separate from each other, right? So they should move along the same path, and the discussion should go together.
What's your red line for cuts? Which departments, which areas do you want to see the fewest cuts?
Well, first of all, I'm just one person. So that's going to be a decision made by the caucus, and certainly a little bit higher up than my grade level.
Then let's change it. What are you lobbying for? What are you lobbying to keep the funding for?
I'm an infrastructure person. I'm a big roads person, so I'm not particularly doing that lobbying.
Okay.
I'm trying to get to where we can have a package that I believe both sides can agree to. That's my focus. So I'm not lobbying against myself in this. If my job is to try to come up with some sort of road package, I'm not going to lobby against myself in the process. So.
And Representative Kunse, so where are the areas that you think are ripe for cuts?
Our biggest one was corporate subsidies. We're looking at the MEDC, we're looking at the mega credits. Again, this is all revenue neutral. We can do the plan. I was really happy that the plan came out of the House with bipartisan support. And forgive me, it was an 8-bill package, but we're in the mid-60s. So we had 7, 8, 9 Democrats join us on that and to push it through. So the votes are certainly there for it. But we're big corporate subsidies. Let's look at this. Do you want to send money to 7 or 8 well-connected companies, or do you want better roads? And it's not that simple, but I think that's one of the areas we can do. The budget is 1,600 pages. The money is there. We can do this without raising taxes.
And I'm not opposed to having those conversations.
Okay.
I'm open to that. There may be a combination of things that we can get to an agreement on. Listen, if we come up with a package, it's going to be something that I'm not happy about and he's not happy about, because when you compromise, nobody's 100% happy. Right. So the best package, the best product we come up with is something where nobody is 100% satisfied.
Right. Now, on the flip side of that, if you start all these projects, there are going to be unhappy people. That is the double-edged sword that is road funding in Michigan. Is like everybody wants it, nobody wants it in their backyard, but they want it to happen without being affected. What are you hearing from constituents? Are they willing to accept, like, all of a sudden a whole bunch of projects going up? So,
and again, the roads have been bonded now. So we're looking at M roads, we're looking at the MDOT roads. Those are already being done. What we're trying to do, and I'm hearing this, we're trying to do the driveway to the freeway. Let's get some of our local roads, and that's where we're putting the bulk of the money. That's where we're trying to target this funding. Yes. So it's going to be, unfortunately, Mound Road is tore up, but you're going to have to go around it. There are things that we can work on. I think everybody sees there's no other way to do it. I have to tear the road up to fix it. I'm sorry that I got to this point. What's important is I think we need to get this done now. Not only do we agree on the number, we agree there's an issue, we agree on the number, we agree on the timing. The bonding funds expire in 2025. So we want to get this done so the road funding can continue into 26 and 27. I don't want to say a fiscal cliff, that seems dramatic. But I think we all agree. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of commonality here.
Is it best to move forward just assuming that there are going to be steep cuts from federal money? Because, I mean, it doesn't look like with the Department of Government Efficiency and congressional Republicans looking to pare things back dramatically, I mean, is it just best to move forward assuming that there won't be a lot of federal dollars there for some of the bigger roads?
Well, depending on their pace, and they may force our hand on that, I still have to work with colleagues that are looking at budgets that are near and dear to them,
Right.
and would like to know what the federal government is doing. What is the outcome there? Because
Right.
all of this affects that. So, yes, but we also have to get to the votes, right? I mean, let's be honest, we have to get to the votes on both sides, and that's the balancing act.
Representative Kunse, Senator Kleinfelt, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having
Thank
us
you.
today. Enjoy the island.
Thank you.
Thank